Hey guys, if you need captions, don't forget to hit the button. Vini, VD, VC. How y'all doing today? What's up, my international friends? It's good to see you again, YouTube. We're here today talking about complete sentences, nouns and verbs and how they work together. Without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling. Let's go! In many languages around the world, you have what is called the implied subject, which means that in many of your languages, you can say a verb, and based on that verb's conjugation, we know who our subject is and what the subject is. And then that makes a complete sentence. A noun or subject and a verb being understood together by who you're speaking to. Unfortunately, in English, we don't have that. And a lot of that has to do with how all of our verbs are conjugated basically the same. Let's look at two different verbs and how they're conjugated real quick. If we look at the verb to give, each of these conjugations is basically the same. It only has two different conjugations in the present tense. I give, you give, they give, we give. He gives, she gives, it gives. So if I'm trying to say, give that to me, I don't know who I'm talking about without the subject because they're all give or gives. There are multiple options for each conjugation. As a result, in English, we always have to say our subject and the verb. Otherwise, we're going to confuse people, which is different than most of your languages. If we look at the past tense of the verb to give, it's I gave, you gave, we gave, they gave, he gave, she gave, it gave. They're all exactly the same. And so if I try to say, gave me a cookie, I would love a cookie, but I don't know who's giving me the cookie. And so we have to say the subject and the verb. And this functions with all of our verbs for the most part. Even for the verbs that do change conjugations based on your subject, we can't say the verb without the subject. As a rule in English, you have to say both parts. Julius Caesar was famously known for having said, Vini, Vinci, Vidi. Oh, that's terrible. Julius Caesar was famous for having said, Vini, Vidi, Vici. That's three different sentences, each of them made up with one word. In English, I would have to add the subject to each of those verbs. I came, I saw, I conquered. I can't say came, saw, conquered because I don't know who I'm talking about. And I could be talking about anyone. Did I came, saw, and conquered? Did you came, saw, and conquered? Did they came, saw, and conquered? I don't know.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Another verb, we'll look at one more example real quick. The verb to write. It's I write, you write, they write, we write. He writes, she writes, it writes. And if we look at the past tense, it's I wrote, you wrote, they wrote, we wrote, he wrote, she wrote, it wrote. So if I just say wrote a book, who really wrote that book?
I don't even know, I can't even tell you that.
In English, we always have to say both the subject and the verb to make a complete sentence and a complete idea, because we don't have the implied subject. Hope that video was helpful. Remember when you're speaking English to use both the noun and the verb together, always. And if this video was liked, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe to catch our next one. Don't forget to look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.